And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I'm telling you, Henry may have it, but I want to get one of those one day so I can be blasting that thing every time I host. But we're back with another episode. Obviously, it's international break, so not much talk about the Prem, but still have a little spicy one. Why don't we clock in, boys? Starting over there with Hoover. How we doing over there?
What's good, man? I'm fresh out of a wedding from this weekend from one of my best friends, and we have been feeling the effects. But I got to catch some footy, and obviously have opinions on everything. So let's rip.
Absolutely. Good to see you, Hoover. I'm happy you had a good time at the wedding. It looked like a great time per usual.
There's a
Um,
problem.
you look spiffy as well. So shout out that. Over here though, we got our other boy, Mr. Sendobry. How we doing?
What's going on, fellas? Good to see you boys. Wasn't here last week. I was in Vegas. Unfortunately, had to miss, but it's good to see you guys. Even when United doesn't play, they still find a way to disappoint me. Um, Looks like my Qatari dream is over. So happy to dive in. At least we got international breaks and City coming up. But good to be here.
Absolutely. You bring up a good point and definitely want to give the viewers a little outline for our episode today since we don't have any Premier League to recap since we are on international break. Today we're going to start it off with St. Louis and Seattle preview for the weekend. Also talk a little bit about the playoff picture. Then talk about obviously USA because it's international break. They had a game against Germany. And then Dobes is going to kind of give a little spiel on his United talk. And then we're going to have a nice little segment at the end. But boys, let's dive in. This weekend, St. Louis City, the team that clinched the number one seed, is playing Seattle at City Park. What are your guys' expectations coming into this game amidst the playoff picture in the future?
I'm just excited to see him play again. Feels like it's been how many weeks since we threw one away 3-0. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope that, Berkey and some of those guys got some rest. Blom got to go and started for the South African national team, pulled out a 0-0 draw against a team that I couldn't even begin to pronounce. And was apparently man of the match. So that's great. He's coming back completely untouched, and sounds like he is keeping some form. So yeah, I think the number one thing now is like you have one game to build how you're gonna play out from here. Like this is your only game to start a run basically towards the playoffs, and they were in okay form towards the end there. So I'm happy about that, but they have to show up for this one. Like Seattle's a big deal. They're fighting for seeding on their end. They're in third right now, but they can catch LAFC and get up into number two. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know this 100%. This is our first year in MLS still, but I think it's points based on home field advantage. So at this point, we have 56 and Orlando has 60 in second place on the other side. So I want to say if we run into them in the playoff rounds, they take home field advantage. So these 3 points might be huge. Like they've got Philadelphia on the other side. They could get 3 points and take our spot. And so could Columbus. So like we do need something from this game. I think the performance and what they look like is the most important thing. But yeah, points are all we take them. Take the points.
Not only do we need points, I think we've talked about it a lot, like especially during playoffs in American sports, like peaking at the right time is so important. And so I'm very interested to see what starting lineup Carnell puts out because like you said, like it's kind of a big win or a big game. And also like, in my opinion, I want our dogs like on all cylinders, like coming into playoffs. So I'm hoping that he puts out a lineup that like is something that we're going to see in the playoffs. But I don't know. Sometimes he throws us a curveball, so we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys. I am a little bit nervous about all this time in between games, and we've seen something like you look at the Major League Baseball, like MLB playoffs going off right now. Like the teams that had the most rest lost. You look at like it's even as simple as like look at the Ryder Cup. Like so many of the U.S. guys took time off, didn't play well. So the time off for me is a little bit worried. So like I did see people on Twitter saying you got to rest some folks, make sure you're healthy, but at the same time, it's like this is the last chance we have to prove ourselves against a really good opponent before like we're just expected to turn it on. And not every team can just turn it on. Yes, we'll be at home. Yes, the environment will be set for what we need. But at the same time, this should be treated like a playoff game, in my opinion. Like treat it like it's a win or go
Yeah.
home because we have to get in that mindset. Because there's very few teams in any sport in the world that could just turn it on.
No,
Yeah,
I
it's a playoff game. It's got to be just an extension to the playoffs. So you immediately need the guys who need to perform. And the game after that isn't till the 28th to the 29th. 29th is what we're hearing Sunday
29 is what
night,
it's looking like.
and it might be 7 or 9 o'clock. So that's miserable just from a fan perspective. But that's a week away. So this has to be the guys that are going to see the field the most starting on the 29th. And there will be some rotation. You're playing 3-game series, which is the more I think about it, the less I like it. But there's a way to build form quickly, and the guys that are going to be playing have to be there. That's I don't see how you can take it any other way.
yeah.
This is audition. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
obviously it is a 3-game series, but like game one of the playoffs, like if you're a gamer, you have it in you, like you want to play. And so we need the guys that want to step up, and Carnell is still figuring out specifically who he wants to play and how he wants to play. So like
Yeah.
this is kind of an audition. If you step up and you show out, you're going to play come game one of the playoffs.
I also just realized like Seattle is 1 point behind LA. So like this is a big game for them as well. So like they're
Yeah.
going to be playing their dogs just as much as we are. So like as much as we want to simulate a playoff environment, I think like this game on Saturday is the best we're going to get because Seattle's going to be fighting for points in this, and I hope we play our dogs.
Yeah, you made a good point about making it a playoff feeling too. I can't express how excited I
Yeah.
am for the playoffs. Like every game, we've said this so many times on this podcast too, but every game already's felt like some sort of St. Louis playoff game. Like I think everyone's just going to be ramped up an extra notch, and the atmosphere is going to bounce. And then that's our biggest draw. We've been so good at home. You have to win those home games. That's just, you win out your home games for the most part, you're going to find yourself semifinals, finals.
Yeah. And I really want to look in. I'm not saying I don't believe you, Hoover, but I really want to look into that points thing about home field advantage.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like I think for us that is such a huge advantage. Like I almost think that's a goal every game, the fact that we're at home at City Park for us. So I'm hoping that we have home field advantage throughout the playoffs because that would be huge.
Yep. The final playoff picture might look like this. So there's 2 points separating Portland and Minnesota in 11th. So it's 8 and 9 that play the wild card, from what I understand. So we could genuinely see Portland, Dallas, San Jose, Sporting, Kansas City, or Minnesota.
Bro, feed me Sporting. I think it'd be
Feed
unreal.
me.
Feed me
I want
Sporting.
them. Oh my God, I'd want them so bad because I don't want to see a couple of these other teams. I think Minnesota played really well against us this year. Dallas was tough. We lost 2 half of the games against them.
Yeah.
There's some tough teams in there, but yeah, Sporting KC, we'd eat them for lunch, dude.
I was going off that was the only name that I felt confident immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, oh, that's
for sure.
Dub.
It gets tight from there on out. Yeah.
I was going to say, and the playoff picture for the MLS is definitely something that we're all learning to and getting accustomed to. So definitely hang in there with us as we figure it out. But I'm super excited as we keep mentioning, like playoffs in St. Louis at City Park, not going to get much better. You're obviously going to see us there a whole bunch. I do want to, as we're kind of talking about the playoff picture, I do want to kind of pick your guys' brains on what are some of those teams that, like, I know we just gave you kind of a list of some of the teams we can possibly play, but as we hopefully, I don't want to jinx us, like get later in the playoffs, who are some of those teams that you guys do not want to see, or like the team that stands out to you guys of like these guys could possibly have our number?
I think so. You don't see Cincinnati unless it's in the final. So you can say you don't want to see them, but they're going to take the quickest and easiest route, and I think they're the best team. We've had a really hard time with Nashville and Hani Mukhtar.
Yep.
So that wasn't fun. And there's a couple guys on Atlanta who, on any given day, will punish you. So, off the top of my head, those are some tough teams. And Atlanta's in sixth, and Nashville's in seventh. You know, Orlando's been no joke. I can't say that I've watched a ton of Philadelphia or Columbus, but they're not up there for a reason. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know, like just looking at the Western Conference and who we could have to play to get to the final. Like, I don't want to see LA. Like, and then I think of tough places to go. Like going to Portland is a tough
Yeah.
place to go play. Like, even though Portland's a 7 seed, like with this best of 3 game series, however they're fucking gonna do it to it works that way. It's like even going to Houston, and you think of Seattle. It's like if we do make it to the final, like I think we're to the point where we're haven't gone to some tough places to beat some tough teams. I'm curious what your guys thought. Like I was seeing this debate all over Twitter just while we're talking St. Louis City. Like obviously making the playoffs and the number 1 seed is beyond anyone's wildest dreams. But like, what now is success in the playoffs? Like, are we already past the point to where like the season is a win for us, or like now that we're here, is the expectations like final or bust? Where's your guys' heads on like what would be successful?
That's a great question. It's funny because I was actually thinking about it today. Because to be fair, I do think we genuinely have a good chance of winning the title. But like I think I saw a similar post about like if you would have told me this at the beginning of the year, how would you react? And I I want us to have a good performance in the playoffs. I want us to have a
Yeah.
good showing. I'm not going to sit here and demand that we make a certain round or anything like that, but I want us to have a presence that's not of like a rookie in the playoffs. Like I don't want us to look like that at all. That's kind of where my expectations at. I don't know where you guys sit. I just don't want us to throw a dud in there. Obviously, I want us to win and think we're going to win, but if we were the one-off chance to like lose the first round but put in a good performance, I think I would be okay with our season
See,
overall.
I think we got to win the first round. I really
Yeah.
do. I think
Yep.
I think everything after that is like cake for me, just because I feel like it's
I
like
agree with you.
two games
Yeah.
at home, 2 games at home. Like I think
We
that win the first round, everything else there is cake. Like I mean, technically, I guess already like everything is like as good as it possibly could be for us. But I think now that we're here, I think the expectation it's like win the first round and then we'll see what happens. You know, anything can
I'm
happen from there.
I'm with you. And I heard Taylor Twellman mention kind of the same thing on ESPN radio. And like it's changed. The expectation has completely changed. Like I again saying it again like I do all the time. So we were gonna win this whole thing first year. That was a lofty call and not out
You
of
did say
not
that.
out of not out of anything football related, other than the fact that I really did trust Lutz and I was like seeing what he was trying to do, and I was like, there's no reason that this guy couldn't put together a really high quality team. But yeah, to be first, but now I do think the expectations have changed a little bit. 2 games at home, no matter what, I'm taking us in both of those games, and at least pulling, a something tight away to even where we go to this PK situation after. And if we, win the first game, lose the second game in PKs, and come home, I'm backing us again, 100%. And I think as long as we have that advantage, I think we should win the series. So you catch me if we're in third and fourth by the end of this, I'm pumped we're going to the playoffs. And, I'd love a first round win or something like that. Now we've got this advantage. We've set
Yep.
ourselves up for this. They want this. This was the objective the whole time, and they've got it now. So you
Yeah,
have to show your performances at home.
yeah, you guys may be right, especially with the fact that we're the number one seed. We have to back that up a little bit as well. If we put in a dud in the first round, that's not really that great. But I do want to kind of piggybacking off of that. And Hoover, you kind of mentioned before with some of the teams that could possibly be in the playoffs, but some of those guys have some names that have been here and kind of done it in this format. I want to kind of pick your guy. I think it's kind of obvious for me in some of them, but who do you guys think from our team is going to kind of step up in the playoffs and be that person for us or that go-to guy moving forward?
I think if we're successful, Lewin's gonna ball. I
Yep.
think it's gonna be the names that have to do it.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
agree.
your Klaus, it's your Lewin. I do think there's gonna be some unsung heroes, so to speak, where like we're gonna need goals from like unless Klaus just does go on a run. Like I think we're gonna have some unsung heroes. Typically with these long playoff runs, like I'm just thinking of like I can't really compare it to soccer, but you think of like baseball or you think of like basketball or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. There's always that Scott Spezio or like that guy
Young Pete
that's
Cosma.
Pete
Yeah.
Cosma. You know what I mean? That comes out of nowhere. So we're gonna have to
Dellavedova.
have yeah, exactly Delhi. We're gonna need our guys to be our guys, but then we're also gonna need some unsung heroes that can step up in the moment. So I do think Klaus and Lewin are gonna be our two main guys, but it's gonna take that third. Like Big Sam could be another one where he's gonna have to step up in a moment. Like
For
That was
sure.
the name I was kind of thinking at. I completely agree with you guys. I think Lowen is going to shine. I truly do. I also hope Klaus does, but I do think I'm hoping Big Sam puts up some numbers because I think he could be like a hidden gem for us.
He's gonna get some clock too because
Yeah.
we're not gonna we if we're planning the way that I think we should be planning this, we've got more depth than we originally thought we did. So I don't think Klaus should play 90 minutes, 3 games straight, 3 games in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I he should see some time off the field. So I'm hoping we haven't seen a lot of Nico Giacchini in a while, to be fair. So I think he's one of those kids that can pop up sometimes and put in a good performance. But it's definitely, dude, it all flows through Lowen anyway. We're our best when it flows through Lowen. We're our best when he's playing at a high rate. It's got to be him. But yeah, the spine's gonna have to, be the
I
spine.
will say
Berkey's on the song.
we kind of have to give Carnell a little bit of credit for like the squad rotation all year because in this best of three, it's gonna like for sure like somebody's gonna get hurt, somebody's gonna pick up a knock, or like it's gonna you know what I mean? And we're gonna have to
Yeah,
rotate it. And we've kind of been there and rotated through it all to where it's like so
Sam's got 7 goals. He was a USL player 8 months ago.
I
Like
know.
there's things to be credited, and it all comes back to Lutz for me.
Yeah.
The guy's a genius. He's turned down offers from Saudi Arabia already. Apparently, there were some championship and low-level Premier League teams that are looking into him this summer. Everything we've heard is that he's committed to the project, at least for now. So, yeah, I didn't know we'd be losing him this quickly, but he'll be back. I'm sure of it.
Hopefully. Alrighty. But enough St. Louis City talk. We got a lot to go on about in this episode. International break. Obviously, the USA men's national team was in action. They were up against Germany, and the result was a 3-1 loss. I will say, I don't know about you guys, how much you watched, but I was thoroughly impressed with the first half. I think it was kind of a tale of two halves, this game. But I think we came out with the dogs and they performed well in the first half, and I think it was 1-1 at halftime, and I thought it was a pretty entertaining game to watch. And then obviously in the second half, I think Germany kind of brought their dogs, and it was a completely different second half, and I think it was kind of dominated by them. But wanted to pick your guys' brains on how you thought the men's national team performed.
I thought it was okay all around. Like I was obviously CP's goal was fantastic, and you can tell he honestly he may be in the form of his career currently with what he's doing in Milan, and then just scoring a banger like that. I do think that what was super apparent to me, especially when you play like a Gundo in the middle, like we miss Tyler Adams so much.
Dude, bad.
Like is
Yeah.
like we have Reyna who kind of played as a 10, and then you have Musa and McKinney who like both can play as a 6, but they're both kind of true 8s. To where it's like a lot of times there was that massive gap in the midfield, but at the same time Germany just has so much quality, and like I think that's kind of the disappointing thing is these are the games we want to start winning to kind of it's almost like prove not like to ourselves that we can because we'll do it every now and then. And I think when we finally can start consistently beating teams like this is when like we'll actually know we're there. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't necessarily know if Greg could have put out a different lineup, truthfully. So like he probably put out the best lineup. The second half we kind of just fell off. It got played through way too easily, and it kind of game was over from there. I honestly turned it off after the third Germany goal because I was like, we're not coming back from this.
That that third Germany goal too was a calamity of
Fuck.
errors at the back.
It was
Like
just-
you're right. Like these are the teams that, in 2026 we got home games for the most part. Like we should look at some of these like, a little bit higher competition, take them on head on. And you're right. I think the line you need to play at times nothing there was ridiculous. Like I think two goals there, you know, box close so much better than and West.
Think we lost.
There, how's
Oh,
this?
there you are. He's there. We're here.
Better. My bad.
No, you're
Yeah.
good. My guy.
Yeah, Musa doesn't close as quickly, and you're right exactly about what you said is 2-8s, but Tyler closes to the ball so much faster. He's so dominant and commanding and physical, and I don't think Musa's as physical. I don't think Wes is as physical. So we lost a big battle there against Gunawan and Musiala. I'm telling you, this kid's just something else, and I thought he played really well, and we would kill for a kid like him, but he showed miles to some of the guys that we had. But Gio is creative. Like he was doing the things that we wanted him to do. He fit right back in that team.
It kind of felt like a pity start a little bit. I don't know about that. Like that's what it felt. I do think. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Gio should start in the U.S. men's national team. The reason I say that is because he has not been playing for Dortmund at all. So to me, it was kind of like that. Greg's like back in charge. Gio's back in camp. Let's start him and make it look like that. Like kumbaya, everybody's happy. I do think like I would have liked to see Luca De La Torre just to sort of be indifferent in that role to play as a 6. Maybe that could be the only change, but like I don't know, man. It was just frustrating to start like that and actually start on the front foot, and then to have Germany just sort of be Germany. I guess it shows the state of where we're still at.
Yeah, definitely frustrating. Obviously, with the World Cup coming as well. But it's funny you said Musiala. I obviously in the new EA, I started a career with St. Louis City, and obviously started with a big financial bonus. And he was the first. He was the first person I bought automatically.
That's hilarious.
He was the first person I snagged, and yeah, we won the title immediately in the first year. But hey, that's how it is. But the U.S. men's national team, besides that game, are still in action tomorrow against Ghana at 7:30. So it's interesting you said Gio started. I'm very intrigued then of this starting lineup of if we're going to see Gio or not. I'm pretty. This one, obviously, we still got a lot of time until World Cup. And we're still trying to find things, but like Greg back at the helm, like I'm definitely have him under a microscope. So every starting lineup he puts out, like I want to understand. So I'm very
and I think in a series of friendlies, there's some really good players with the team that I think could get a shot to start. Yeah. And obviously there should be some rotation, and I'm good with that. You want to take looks at other guys. But I still want to see it be really competitive. Like I still want to see Tim Ream should probably still be playing. Fulham's going to hate that. I bet Christian still plays. I would say Pepe probably comes in for Flo, but Flo will play 20 minutes at the end. So this one might be rotated, but Ghana's not great right now. Ghana just lost to Mexico 2-0, and Mexico's been horrible. So there should be a good competitive factor about it, and I still do want to see a lot of those guys in.
I think that's the standard. Like you see Mexico win 2-0, we should win 2-0 at least.
Got to.
Like
at least.
In terms of just what we've seen in Mexico, Mexico kind of has gotten a little better recently, but just to comparatively, like if Mexico's beating them in order to keep our standard high, we should be beating them. Sort of my thought.
I completely agree, and I think that needs to be our new standard moving forward. And I think we've kind of mentioned that on the last couple of podcasts. But
FOTMOB still has FOTMOB still has BJ Callahan as the head coach of USA.
I just saw that.
I wish he was. So much more fun.
Heartbreaking. Alrighty. Well, besides international break, I know obviously the Premier League is not on, but something that Mr. Sendobry is oh so passionate about is the Glazers of Manchester United, and he gets to have them for a whole nother year, it sounds like.
Hang on. I
Mr.
guess
Sendobry,
I
let's
guess
hear it.
I guess set some context for folks that like are either just listening or like don't necessarily know the background of the current state of Manchester United. About like a year and a half ago, Glazers, let's refer to them as like shit. Shit put United up for sale. And over the course of the last year, there's been rumored to be, I guess, two key bidders that have been involved in the process. One, the most commonly known, most favorable within the United fan base, is Qatar, who offered $5 billion, with the promise of redoing Old Trafford, redoing Carrington, most recently buying Kylian Mbappe, essentially making all of these promises that United fans have sort of clinged on to for the last couple of months. It's sort of been one of those scenes like we
That
almost
you clinged on
expected
to?
like we almost expected like this movie scene of like the Glazers like just like going up and just like the burning at the stake and everything was going to be fine
Frankie de
and so
Jong, finally.
essentially the news came out this Tuesday that the Glazers essentially were going to move forward probably with the Ineos offer with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and that Qatar had withdrew from the process. So I think what's interesting, and when you have to like, you always have to take like a full circle look at the entire situation, because if you're the Glazers, as we all know, the Glazers don't give a shit about if we win, if we lose, what goes on. They care about the bottom line. They care about how much money they're making. Are they getting their dividends? What are their shares worth? What is the stock price? And so when you take a look at it, sports washing has already taken place. And so what I mean by that is if Qatar wanted to buy Manchester United, they would have bought Manchester United. Qatar offered $5 billion with these promises of rebuilding the stadium, clearing our debt. Also on top of that, all of that means nothing to the Glazers. It means zero. Their offer was $5 billion, and the Glazers valued them at $6 billion. So when Qatar is making all these promises of we're going to build a new stadium, we're going to buy all these players, that means zero to the Glazers. It means zero. Your offer is $5 billion if you're not going to go above that. And I think what's interesting, and you have to look at the full perspective of this, it's like if Qatar wanted to buy us, they would have bought us. Like, this is the same country that just spent $229 billion on a World Cup when the past World Cup was $16 billion. The one before that was like $19 billion. The one before that was like $7.2 billion. It's like, this is like, if they would have wanted to buy Manchester United, they would have bought Manchester United. So there's this thought in there of like, if these guys wanted to, $1 billion is nothing to them. But at the same time, they've made all these promises. They've done all these things. And Qatar all of a sudden is seen in this great and fantastic light where it's like, we pulled out, they didn't want us. Then you have to look at the Sir Jim Ratcliffe offer, where he's offering to buy 25% of the club. And the key two things that are important in his offer are that he's buying all sporting director rights or sporting rights. So his team, the Ineos team, which Nick, you'll know, they own Mercedes.
Yep.
They hired Toto.
Yep.
Like, they'll own all of the sporting side. The other key piece in this is, and this is what needs to be talked about, and it's not confirmed, is if they're buying 25% of the Class B shares, there's Class B and Class A. Class A is like what the common folks, most companies own. If they're buying 25% of the Class B shares, those are worth 9 to 10 times more than the Class A shares. So if they're buying those from the Glazers, they're essentially buying all power from the Glazers. But that's what needs to be confirmed. So when comparing these offers, and this is by no means saying that I'm like behind Sir Jim Ratcliffe and like behind his offer, but obviously I want Qatar and I want the instant fix and I want the Kylian Mbappe's and I want all of those things. But I think when you look at the track record of Qatar, it's like, look what they've done at PSG. It's a complete shit show. And so I think what we do need is somebody that can come in and make instant change, instant impact. And I think that's what Sir Jim Ratcliffe will have the opportunity to do. And what I mean by that is he's going to come in and he's going to fire a Richard Arnold. He's going to fire a John Murdoch. He's going to do what he did at Mercedes. He's going to bring in a Toto. He's going to hire, like he's done to make billions of dollars. He's going to hire the top sporting director. He's going to bring in a Paul Mitchell. And then he's going to bring in the infrastructure. Like if you look at an Arsenal, what's made Arsenal so good is like Edu is in complete like synergy with the owners and is also in complete synergy with Arteta, right now we have a shit show of an entire like infrastructure that is buying players, all this different stuff. And I think that's what Sir Jim Ratcliffe will have the opportunity to do. Now there is all these outstanding questions of like where does the debt go? Does the debt go on Ineos? Like when do we get the stadium rebuilt? When does Carrington get fixed? Like when do all these different problems that United currently has get fixed? But at the same time, I think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has the potential to make instant impact to where it's like we can fire the people we have to fire. He can bring in the people we need to bring in, and then it's a true rebuild. Yes, Qatar could be instant switch and instant, like I guess like almost just the debt is gone. Like they want to take over all the debt. They want to take everything. Yeah, but if Ineos, they do the same exact thing that they do with Mercedes. They own all the debt, and the dividends that they do take out, they put more dividends back into Mercedes than they take out.
But Glazers are still owners.
Yeah, but they have the key thing is the Glazers may not be gone, but like what the key issue with the Glazers ownership is we're not running like a football club. We're run like a commercial club.
Yeah.
We're run like a but what the Glazers want to do is they can be behind the scenes, and then when the TV deal is up in 10 years, they still get paid off of that because they still own shares of the company.
Yeah.
You have to think of the Glazers. The Glazers are smart businessmen. They're terrible owners. Terrible owners. But at the same time, they've become as rich as they have for a reason.
I'm shocked that and to be fair, you kind of answered it a little bit, but I was just shocked that the Glazers, as you've been saying, have always been not a part of the club, always about the bottom line. And you're also right, like Qatar has empty pockets. So clearly there was something else going on because the Qatar would have gave the Glazers the amount of money that they would have asked for. That's happening. So I also think that the Glazers still want to be a part of Manchester United a little bit. And I don't think they care about the bottom line as much.
Qatar's offer was $5 billion.
I think you're telling me Qatar didn't offer them as much as they possibly could have to buy Manchester United. I think they did.
Brother, I can promise you. Like, this is public record. Like, how do you think we know about Sir Jim's offer? Like, how do you think we know the details? It's all public record.
Yes, but I'm thinking there's more than just the bottom line on this one, because if he wanted to, he would have just pulled the trigger on it.
Brother, there's not. The Glazers care about the bottom line because, like I'm saying right now,
if they would have cared about it, they would have taken that deal and cashed out.
But the valuation is $6 billion over the amount of time that they will still stay in power. Like, not in power, but like they will still be part of the club. There'll be new TV deals. There'll be new shirt sponsors. There'll be new everything. So the commercial side of Manchester United is the biggest club in the world, and they still want to be a part of that because they're smart businessmen. If you're a smart businessman and you valued your company at $6 billion and somebody offered you $5 billion, would you take it? And somebody else is offering you a longer term plan to still make the same amount of money.
I'm saying I guarantee you. I can't guarantee that.
You can't guarantee anything.
I know, that's why I stopped.
I'm in the position of the Glazers.
Had to have been had.
If I have an opportunity to keep a percentage of that, I get that, and that makes sense.
That's what I mean, bro. You have to take your hat off that these people are like that they care about the club at all. They care about the money, and so I think the other key thing is in Sir Jim's offer. It's like there is and this is yet to be confirmed, but the thought is that the second key piece of it is that there is a path to them leaving. The first part is they get 100% sporting rights, 25% of all like the sporting rights initially. And if it's a Class B shares, they essentially have that Ineos and Sir Jim will have all the power. And then it's essentially that there is a path to where Ineos can own more of the club or they can get further investment, which is, again, this is all like thought, hope. There is also this other side that I haven't brought that, I don't want to go too deep because we've already gone long enough, but the board can also vote no on Sir Jim's offer. It by no means is over. The Glazers are meeting on Thursday to take this offer to the board, and the board can say no. We don't want to we don't want to sell 25%.
So does Sir Jim's proposal, should it go the way that it's been listed, where they're in total ownership of the sporting aspect, does that satisfy you? Are you walking away from this we're back, we're so back?
No, because I do think it doesn't satisfy me because it doesn't instantly fix Carrington, doesn't instantly fix the stadium, doesn't instantly fix that. But I think longer term, if you were to ask me a year and a half ago before this Qatar rumor even happened, if a Mancunian guy born and raised in Manchester, diehard Manchester United fan, owner of one of the biggest chemical, I guess like petroleum companies in the world, was going to take over 25% of Manchester United, own complete sporting control, like I'd say sign up where? I think the issue is that Qatar has done this incredible job of promising all of these different things, having these accounts tweet,
Yeah.
we're going to build a new stadium, we're going to buy Mbappe, when it's like all of that stuff is covered under like NDAs. Like all of the plans, like they can have people leak all this different stuff and all the fans get all fired up. And don't get me wrong, I've been one of them for months. But at the same time, it's all smoke and mirrors. And I also, what it appears to be, just got out negotiated by a British businessman because his offer clearly worked. And if you think about it, from take the shitty Glazers are terrible fucking owners out of it, just as business people, they're fucking good at what they do. They own the Buccaneers, they own fucking Manchester United, they collect all this fucking money. So it's like they're clearly going with an offer that they think makes the most business sense for both parties. So that's kind of where I'm like, not am I 100% behind Sir Jim, but at the same time, like I'm at least way more inclined now to give him a chance than I was 6 months ago when I was reading all the things that Qatar was fucking selling up my asshole.
They absolutely were. Yeah, smoke and mirrors is a good way to put it. They were leaking everything.
It was like the moment Sir Jim was like posted outside of Manchester United, the picture they were like, and the stadium will be rebuilt in 2027, and it's like, well, shocking.
And I'm not saying that I don't disagree with you, but I also don't want to hear 2 years from now, I fucking still hate the Glazers. I still hate the Glazers. Like as when there's still ownership of it, I have a feeling.
Yeah, if nothing changes, what do you say?
Brother, you're 100% right, because greed in all of the mistakes haven't been built in a year. It's been built over time. So it will take time in order for that to go away. So like ideal state is, yes, we're state owned, all the debt, everything is cleared away. But like there will be some sacrifice that comes with that. But at this time, at least there's like hope that we'll get there still. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like if there is, it's released that there is a path to full ownership, like within this deal, fine, as long as it's not fucking 20 years, you know? So it's like, by no means am I just like signing off on this shit, but it's like the lesser of two evils, 100%.
The only sacrifice you have with being state-owned is like a maroon and white jersey jagged that looks just like the Qatari flag. Like,
Bro, but think about that.
They bought.
They spent $229 billion for a World Cup. The next most expensive was like 20 ever.
Yeah, that's not even including the bribes.
Yeah, if they wanted to spend money,
I get what you're saying.
they'd spend the fucking money.
They would have hit the $6 billion if they had it. You're not.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's either the shit show rolls on.
To be fair, I was just trying to play devil's advocate in that, but I completely understand where you're coming from, and happy you got to get that little rant off your chest. I feel like United fans always bitch about the Glazers, so it's nice to hear Topes.
Hey, they Spurs valuation's only like 4.5 right now, so bring on
well, they'll offer 3.5 and say they have no more.
Yeah.
And Daniel Levy will value it at 12.
But we host football.
And we have bowling, so.
Bring on the Todd.
I will say one thing, since we're on the Premier League talk, that I did want to bring up before we went into our next segment is Chelsea versus Arsenal on Saturday. That's a big match I'm very excited for. Hoping to have a decent result against them. It starts a stretch for us of a couple of difficult fixtures. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully the Mecca gets together for that one because I think it'll be a pretty good one. I don't know if you guys wanted to hit on it a little bit or had any previews leading into the London Derby.
It's at 11:30 on Saturday.
Yes, it is.
Is it at home or where?
I believe it is
at the Bridge.
The Bridge.
I mean,
I'll wear my blue hat that day, brother. That's for sure.
I appreciate
You
it.
guys
I'm hoping the full 4 goals of our last performance carry over and we continue to score goals. I've also said it a couple times. I'm really interested to see how we play because I truly do believe we play completely different when we play against a top 6 than we do against a bottom. Because I think they kind of sit in a below block, and I'm really interested to see how we play against an Arsenal team who will probably possess the ball more than we do.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
what.
I'd love to see Arsenal get humbled.
My spin zone on
Yeah.
that one. Pochettino. There's only one other team in Arsenal that Pochettino hates, and he hasn't worked for them. So, in London, sorry, yeah, he probably doesn't like them very much, to be fair. But yeah, I
Hell
love
yes.
that.
I hope he puts out a nice lineup. Alrighty, but that leads us right into our final segment of the podcast. I did it. It's funny. I did a real good one on our last episode that got deleted. Thank you, Zencaster.
That one was
Shout out to
tough.
them. But we're starting this segment where we have a start bench sell where I'm going to give all of us 3 players we're going to go through and we're going to pick which one we want to start, bench, or sell. This one is also kind of a little bit special because none of us knew the 3 until right now because Mr. Ryan Butchart texted us earlier in the group and we all just looked. So I will be the person to let the audience know the 3 players are Odegaard, Bruno Fernandes, and Madison of Spurs. I
That's
will start since
hilarious.
I don't have either no Chelsea boy is in this, so I think I have a little bit of unbias in this one. And I don't think Dove's gonna be too happy, but we'll move on. At current form, I was thinking about this, and if I don't know if we want to go career or at current form or anything like that, but I'd probably start Matters, bench Odegaard, and sell Bruno Fernandes.
Most assists in 2023. Anybody. So I'm starting the guy that has most assists in 2023. Bruno Fernandes is starting. It's so funny because I have to start Bruno. I picked Odegaard as one of my Player of the Year candidates, but right now Matters has been better than Odegaard. So like I have to bench Odegaard bench Matters and sell Odegaard. So
I thought you were just throwing in a curveball there. I was like, what?
no.
He's like, F you, Hoop.
I do think I will say like current form, although Portugal Bruno has been a polar opposite of Manchester United Bruno. Like in the Prem, Bruno's been the worst out of the 3 to start the season. Internationally, I think Bruno's got something like it's like 9 goals, 11 assists in like his last 23 games or something insane.
Happy you said it so I didn't have to.
I'm still going to start my boy.
Yeah.
That came up.
Most assists of anybody in 2023.
I'm talking. I said, what did I say? Current form. I'm taking Matters as my starting all day. I think he literally runs that team. Who's the top of the table?
Dude, it's it's Bruno and Matters for me, right? Like those are my only 2. I mean, and Odegaard's been MIA, bro, and he's been so good. He was so good last year, and I'm willing to accept that. He's not been there and done the same things that he's been doing, and even for Norway too. Obviously, different situation. It's just on my mind because I watched some of it this week, but it. I'm gonna go Madison and Bruno as a sub, but those are the 2. That's it. Like in my mind right now, the 2 best 10s that can we could be talking about week in and week out are Bruno Fernandes and James Madison. And Odegaard could find his way back in this season, no question. He's got the talent. But right now, those are the dogs. Did you guys see Madison's his attempted shot on net this international break?
Yeah.
And it went probably like 30, 40 feet right for a throw in. Like he was stepping in on the inside of the D and about to whip a shot upper 90, and it did not go to plan. So that
he went for the patented curler.
And it did not.
He launched it for a throw in.
I will say that's probably one of the more embarrassing things in football is shooting a shot and it going out for a throw in. So never.
That's not ruling. That's not ruling into my decisions here, but I was like thinking about international form. I was like, who played well this recently? And he didn't necessarily, but
I will say I can hear the Arsenal fans screaming, especially like Winks and Griffin at all.
That's why it's been so calm this episode.
Very true. It's very, very true. To be fair, that's a great segue because that is all we have for you folks. I will say we are posting all of those on the Instagram. I'm going to be posting the start bench sell of Odegaard, Bruno, and Matters. I want to see what you guys think because obviously all three of us had different different three. So I definitely want to see what the audience thinks.
I had people come up to me outside of this podcast too and tell me like, yo, dude, those like fantasy 11s that you guys and like those fantasy 3-a-sides have. He's like, those were sweet. So, we heard.
But I low-key feel like the punishment, we should get back to that. The punishment should be like somebody has to do like a 2-hour podcast by themselves.
That's a good one. Hey, to be fair, throw in the comments of some crazy punishments that give to the loser of the end of the season.
What would you talk about for 2 hours?
Nothing, dude. Nothing.
Have you seen the one where it was like, do like stand-up comedy for 30 minutes? Like
yeah.
30 minutes, bro. 5 minute open mic.
No, I would be doing. I'd be taking off of work doing research for the 11 that night, being like, I am not losing this.
That's hilarious. But as always, follow us on all of our social medias, X, TikTok, Instagram, you name it.
I'm not calling it X. It's Twitter. I can't do it.
You can't do it? You want me to just say Twitter then? All right, I'll say.
Yeah, Twitter.
Show up on Twitter. I won't go full Elon Musk and call it X. We'll just call it Twitter. All right, hit us up though. We're going to start being active. Cheers, boys. Great episode.
Yeah.
Cheers.